This show is brought to you by Drift Outfitters in Toronto at 199 Queen Street East. Drift is remaining open during these difficult times, but with a new way of getting you your fly fishing goods without allowing customers into the shop. Visit them online at driftoutfitters.com to order products and take advantage of free shipping across Canada on orders over $100. Why not help them out during this difficult time for small businesses? Give them a shout out on Instagram. Got a great photo to share? Tag at Drift Outfitters. Also, you can tag your fly tying pics with hashtag self-isolation to show your friends and your followers how you're spending your downtime. Giving Drift more exposure and love right now is one way we can help keep them going. These are tough times, and we must find a way to continue supporting our community store. Visit driftoutfitters.com for more information. Hello and welcome to another episode of So Fly. It's another beautiful Sunday for everybody listening to this show. My name is Mitch. We've got Aldo.
Hey.
And we've got Yilma.
Hey, everyone.
And we've got a very exciting guest in the studio, I guess the virtual studio today, because we are once again calling over Zoom. We're speaking to a fiberglass rod builder. His rods are absolutely beautiful. His name is Chris Barclay. Chris, how's it going?
I'm good. How are you guys doing?
Fantastic. Thanks so much for coming on the show.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I really appreciate it.
Whereabouts are you calling from today?
I am in Winston-Salem, North Carolina, in my rod shop.
Oh, nice.
Which is also a guest bedroom, but we don't let guests sleep in here anymore.
Nice.
Let's
Yeah,
let the rods sleep now.
We're watching you we're all on video chat, and we can see your setup behind you. It's a pretty sweet little setup you got going.
Yeah, it's great. It's cozy. I've got just enough room to swing a rod around in here, and but I've got pretty much everything I need here, so it's good.
Yeah, it's awesome. Right on. Okay, so for people listening at home, can you tell them a little bit about kind of your rod company and just what you do exactly?
Yeah. I basically have a lineup of my own fiberglass fly rods that I've created from the ground up. I don't roll the blanks myself. A friend of mine up in Pennsylvania does that. But I design them and build them, and all the aesthetics, all the guide spacing, everything like that. I do here, and typically have a little bit of a wait list, a couple months on rods that I build. I used to try to keep them in shops, but it was hard to manage a wait list as well as supplying shops. So I figured I'd stick with supplying my customers directly.
Well, they're absolutely beautiful rods, and for everybody listening, check out the show notes because we'll put the URL to your website so you can check them out while we talk. Definitely want to get into, why you got into fiberglass building, but maybe before we get into the whole rod building world, we'll just start with you as an angler. How did you get into fly fishing at all? Did you start in North Carolina? Is that where you're from originally?
No, I grew up in Texas. I was born overseas in Norway and moved to Texas when I was 2.
Oh.
And my grandma and several of my family members just plain fished, and usually farm ponds and things like that. When I was a young teenager, I got into bass fishing tournaments in East Texas.
Nice.
And it was cool. It was weird being a 12-year-old kid fishing in a bass boat with all these old men smoking cigars and just cutting up, and it was fun.
Yeah.
But it was really fast paced, and that part didn't really agree with me. I'm not a very fast paced person in general. So a little bit later in sometime during my late teens, I bought a fly rod.
Yep.
And started fishing farm ponds a little bit, and not really knowing anything about what I was doing, just throwing out a popper or something that looked like an ant or something like that. And really enjoyed it, but kind of set it down. And later, when I was in college, I decided to pick it up again. And I went to college in Nacogdoches, Texas, at Stephen F. Austin State University, just a small state school in the middle of nowhere, and we I'd just gotten married and decided to try fly fishing, and it was the best thing ever. I was I caught fish immediately, which was unusual sometimes, but they're just little panfish, little bluegill and
Right.
bass and things like that, and I loved it. It changed fishing for me, and I haven't really consistently cast a conventional rod since then.
Yeah.
That was about 1998.
Okay. Started fly fishing in Texas. Man, we've got a lot of Texas connections on the show. It's great.
Yeah, we do.
Pretty funny.
Yeah.
Yeah, I run probably about a third of all my rods go to Texas,
Really?
Oh wow.
and I don't know why, except for there's a lot of fish there,
Yeah.
a lot of fishy people, so
Yeah.
might as well.
Oh, it's wicked.
Yeah, we got introduced to you by a former guest, Aaron. from
Yeah.
Texas. He speaks
Yeah, he's a good
very
friend.
highly of you and your rod. So
Yeah,
yeah, we checked you out. It was awesome.
he's a great guy. Yeah,
Oh yeah, Aaron was awesome to talk to, and he opened our eyes to just all that fly fishing that's going on there, and for bass. I mean, bluegill and warm water species like that on a fly rod, so much fun. Such a great way to get into it.
yeah. It really seems like the fly rod was invented for panfish.
Yeah.
It's I don't do that much anymore,
Yeah.
unfortunately, but I love it.
Yeah. Do you remember what your first fly rod was?
It was a graphite Daiwa that
I had one of those.
yeah, it was like 8.5, 9 feet long,
Yeah.
like a 5 weight or 6 weight or something like that.
Yeah.
And I bought a reel with like a 8 weight line, and there's no telling why I did that. And it was horribly mismatched, but it was fun.
Yeah.
It bent, and I caught fish. I mean, who cares what else?
Daiwa first rod. Was it? I wonder if it was because my first rod was a Daiwa too. Was it the Heartland by any chance?
I have. You can't. Nobody else can see this, but y'all. But this is a section of it after
nice.
it broke. I use it to practice my handwriting on.
Oh, wicked! That's great.
Nice.
idea.
Nice.
Yeah,
My
that's smart.
handwriting is horrible, so
Funny.
I got to practice.
Yeah.
But I was hoping this said the model, but it doesn't.
It's a great.
I probably have.
It's great though. Daiwa makes a great entry level
Yeah.
fly rod. Like.
Oh yeah, they're great. It works. You can catch fish.
Mhm.
You can have fun.
Yeah.
And that's it.
Totally.
Man, my first fly rod broke, and I wish I would have done what you just did.
Yeah.
Instead, I just kind of got rid of it like an idiot.
Yeah.
That would be nice to keep that little segment as a
Yeah.
sentimental piece.
Yeah. It's funny, hindsight and all that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Since we're sharing stories, my first fly rod broke as well, but it broke because I was wearing the wrong wading boots, and I slipped on.
Was
the
that your
rocks.
first rod?
Yeah, that was the first. No,
I was-
that was the second rod.
I was there when that happened. He was wearing.
Yeah.
Yilma had just gotten into fly fishing, and he was wearing saltwater boots, and we were fishing a very freshwater river, and he went flying, and his rod broke. It was quite the day.
Just slipped.
Yeah, that I can see how that would happen.
Yeah. Amazing.
Oh yeah.
So, did you find yourself basically? How did you find yourself then in North Carolina?
Well, I came to North Carolina via St. Louis, Missouri, and let's see, I moved there in 2001 to go to school, to try out graduate school, and that did not work out at all. I should have taken my hint from college. It took me 7 years to get through college, and it wasn't pretty.
Yeah.
But
6 years here.
Nice.
yeah, all right. But we moved to St. Louis, ended up liking it, even though school did not work. We lived there for about 16 years.
Oh wow.
Both my kids were born there. But that's when fly fishing started being a real love for me.
Okay.
I enjoyed it previously, put it down, picked it up, put it down. It was a matter of convenience.
Yeah.
Then I had a job that did not agree with me at all. I guess there's a pattern to that. And a guy that worked for me was getting into fly fishing, and I was like, yeah, I've done some of that. Let's go. So we
nice.
started fishing some together, just little ponds around the city of St. Louis and
Yeah.
just outside. And then it got into being more of a real desperate infatuation because the job was such a poor fit
Hmm.
that I had to have something to distract myself from it.
Right.
So I would call in sick and go fishing. I would
Yeah.
do everything I possibly could to avoid going to work and to go fishing.
Yeah.
And like waking up at 4:30 in the morning to go fish a pond for some bluegill just for 30 minutes before I had to drive into work.
Yeah.
And that's when I started building fly rods. Um, in the wintertime, it got pretty cold, at least for us in St. Louis. I started to a friend that same friend got me interested in building as well because he started tinkering with building. He said, "Oh, you'd like this a lot." And my background before that job was as a carpenter.
Okay.
I built cabinets and did a lot of intricate woodwork and things like that,
Mhm.
and really enjoyed working with my hands, but my back couldn't really handle the construction part.
Yeah.
Um, so then I saw the connection of being a do-it-yourself kind of person and building a fly rod, and I thought that is horrible, horrible, horrible idea. I do not want to turn into a person that um, cannot buy a simple fly rod,
Right.
which I don't like saying it like that. It really didn't come out as well as I wanted. But I didn't want to. I wanted to be able to buy a fly rod
Mhm.
and use it and not have to build it myself.
Right.
Which, you know, there's some people that don't have skills to do that kind of stuff. But then I didn't want to do it because everything else in my life was do it yourself. Like
Yeah.
I was living in a house that had it was a 100-year-old house that I was gut rehabbing while we were living in it.
Mhm.
And that was exhausting. And I did not want to do that with fly rods. I guess that's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah. Turn it into
Yeah.
work. You didn't want to take something that
Yeah,
was fun and an outlet and make it your job.
exactly.
Right.
And then, but then I tried rod building, and it's like fly fishing came alive to me, and I loved it.
Mhm.
I loved every step of the process, from choosing the blank to sighting down the blank, to get the guides in the right position and things like that, down to applying finish and then fishing it.
Yeah.
And I thought it was the coolest thing,
Yeah.
and just made my fishing more fun.
So what made you decide to pick up that first was it a kit or was it just like what made the stuff you needed to make the first rod? Why did you decide to take that leap?
Um, my wife,
Yeah.
she basically said, I think your friend is right. I think that he is right, that you should try to build it. You would enjoy it.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay. And I finally said, sure.
Give it a
And
try.
it's not a real significant moment
Mhm.
as to what made me choose to do it.
Yeah.
It was just one of those things where it started to make sense.
Yeah.
Um, and then after that, I built it, and a man that lives here in North Carolina, I started having questions about what to do best, and he was willing to answer my questions.
Yeah.
And he turned into sort of a mentor for me, somebody that I'd never met before,
Yeah.
but I met him on a fly fishing forum or something like that.
Yeah.
And he was willing to help me and write me a few little tutorial things, and
Nice.
so I built a couple rods and just loved it, and saw some improvement after each rod. And I'd share pictures on internet forums and things
Yeah.
like that, like what you do. And some guys said, "Well, hey, would you build me a rod?" And I was like, sure, yeah, just pay me the cost of the parts and I'll do it.
Yeah.
So I started doing that a little bit, and then it really started picking up quite a bit.
Oh man,
Mhm.
rad.
And just more and more people, and I would build a rod, fish it a little bit, sell it,
Yeah.
then build another one in a different way, so that I could kind of experience it.
What was the first rod? Was it fiberglass you built? Like right off the top, were you in the fiberglass world?
The first rod I built was back then. Orvis was selling their blanks,
Right.
so I'd buy like their old superfine blanks,
Mhm.
Oh, nice.
the old graphite. Those are still some of my favorite rods. But it was I decided that if I'm going to put that much time into it, I'm going to use the best that I possibly can.
Yeah.
And the Orvis were accessible then. I don't think you can buy them anymore. But I built a lot of little small 2, 3, 4 weights, and just loved it. And a couple of guys all over the world. There was a guy in Chile that had me build a couple of them for him, and he still fishes them now, which is
Oh,
pretty
that's
fun.
awesome. That's super
awesome.
cool.
Yeah.
So when did
Yeah.
you get around to picking up or building your first fiberglass rod? Had you used fiberglass before and been like, I got to make a fiberglass rod kind of thing?
Yeah, before I started building, I had I was not making much money at the time, and I found a guy that would build a rod on a blank that I bought for just pennies.
Oh wow.
And he agreed to build it for me. He lived in East Texas, lives in East Texas,
Mhm.
near where I was from. So it was kind of a neat connection. I'd talked to him, and I just bought a blank and sent it to him, and I said, "Can you build it?" And he said, "Sure."
Yeah.
So he built it for me for like $100, and that rod was so much fun. I hate that I sold it,
Yeah.
but it happens.
Yeah.
But it was it's a small shop in Pennsylvania that sells blanks. I can't remember the name of it.
Yeah.
Riffle, whatever.
We'll try to look it
But
up later.
Yeah, it was a little 7-foot 4-weight,
Yeah.
and I that was my only rod for a couple of years, and I just beat the crap out of it. It was so much fun.
That's awesome.
And I remember one time at a little lake outside of St. Louis, I was fishing a little bitty soft tackle for bluegill. I used to love doing that there. And I hooked into about an 8.5-pound bass.
Whoa.
And
Jeez.
it was about a 15-minute fight, but I was able to get it in. And I looked behind me, and there are these people in pickup trucks just watching. And they're like, "Hey, we're watching you."
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
but it was fantastic.
Oh my God.
When I caught that fish, I was like, man, there's fiberglass is durable, one,
Yeah.
and it's just plain fun.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
you can do so much more with it than just about anything else.
Yeah.
So that's when I really got kicked by the fiberglass bug.
Okay.
That fight.
And I just loved it.
Yeah. So I guess in the early days, what were you like? You were probably building a lot of rods. What were you doing with all the rods? Like you said, you were selling all of them, or do you have like a shed somewhere with just all these old first rods?
No, I was pretty strict about if I was going to build a new rod, the old rod would go.
Right.
So I just sold them.
Okay. Okay.
They're like the first. It's really crazy for me to think about this, but the first year I built rods, I built probably 120,
Decent.
Whoa.
That's pretty good.
and
Yeah.
which that I guess you could say I could be a little bit obsessive. But it was I just loved it, and it was the creative outlet that I needed to
Yeah.
kind of get by.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, it makes sense. I mean,
And-
yeah.
And so but I think building so many rods got my work out there, and I wasn't trying to
Right.
do it in any sort of big time way. I was just doing it because I loved it.
Yeah.
And let's see, and then a little bit after that, I built rods for probably 2 years. In the second year, I built almost 200 rods.
Jeez.
I think I built like 194. I actually saw one of the rods that I built a few weeks ago that it came in for repair. It was like serial number 194 of that year.
That's cool.
And
talk about-
it was pretty cool.
Yeah.
You talk about being slow paced, but then as soon as you found your footing, now it
Yeah,
fast.
yeah,
Yeah.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
I'm not a fast person. You can tell by the way I talk, probably. But once I figure something out, it
You fly.
kind of goes
Oh,
along.
yeah. You just go.
Yeah, yeah. Kind of keep my head down, and
That's awesome to see
Oh,
rods coming back though for repair. From the
Yeah.
early days. That's
Yeah.
cool.
yeah, it's pretty neat. And that second year, I was kind of running out of blanks to build.
Yeah.
But I wanted some that were that I could fish in my little local rivers and ponds and things like that, and really enjoy something that was more fitting. So I talked to over that previous year. I talked to a friend in Japan who said he could get me set up with a blank manufacturer, and so I was like, well, why not? I'll save my money and do it again. And so I started designing a little 7-foot 2-inch 3-weight in glass, and it was fun. The design process I get a real big kick out of. It's a lot of fun. But it was funny. Little side note: when I was designing the rod, he's like, "Well, what color do you want it?" I was like, "I don't know. Just rod color. I don't care."
Yeah.
And he's like, "Well, no, it's got to be something. It's got to be something." And I was drinking a Newcastle at the time,
Nice.
and
yeah.
I looked, I held it up to the light, and I was like, "That's the color that I want."
Yeah.
And so I took a picture of it and sent it to him. He's like, "Okay, beer color." and so it stuck. And my first rod series was a brown ale color rod.
Yeah.
That's awesome, man. You should
That's really
Newcastle
cool.
should get in on that. Newcastle's got their own
Yeah.
fly rods out there. They don't even know.
No kidding.
Yeah.
I try, but they don't listen to me.
Yeah, I know. Us neither. That's awesome though, man. Super
Yeah.
I
cool.
love that story.
It's fun.
Yeah.
But so yeah, and funny enough, right around the time that I got the first batch of blanks in from Japan, I was laid off from the job that I shouldn't have been at anyway.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, great. What am I going to do now? And I was like, I would love to be a rod builder, but I mean, nobody is a professional rod builder.
Mhm.
Or at least just like 2 guys are able to do it professionally, full time, and support their families.
Right.
Right.
And so I was looking for jobs. I was picking up handyman work. I was doing everything I could. And then I built out all these rods, and then they sold all. I built out 12 and finished them, listed them, and announced that I was doing my own thing.
Yeah.
They sold the next day,
Oh,
like
wow.
overnight.
Wow.
And I was
serious?
like, oh, what in the world? This is awesome.
Yeah.
And then I talked to my wife, Valerie, and she was like, well, can you do that again?
Yeah.
I said, I don't know, maybe.
Yeah.
And then,
That's incredible, dude.
yeah, then it just kind of kept on happening.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And that's really when my company began. It's not been smooth and easy the whole time, but it's been kind of like that. Just kind of build a rod, it sells. Okay, I can pay mortgage this month.
Right.
And then it just kind of builds up so that I was doing some handyman work on the side
Yeah.
to make ends meet at first, but now I've got 2 or 3 months worth of orders,
Yeah. Wow.
and
That's so incredible.
awesome.
I can go fishing almost anytime I want
Yeah, exactly. Because you're
I
your
mean,
own
locally.
boss. Yeah.
locally, but
Yeah.
I've got very little to complain about.
That's
Right.
awesome.
So-
Although I do complain a lot. But
As we all do.
Who doesn't?
yeah, I'm supposed
Yeah.
to.
Yeah.
Yeah. So If somebody want, like, I mean, I'm just cruising your website here. What's kind of the process if people want a rod from you? Can they just buy something, or do they have to kind of pre-order it?
Usually it's a pre-order thing.
Okay.
Like right now, I've got behind me, I've got 4 rods turning on my turners, and one of those rods is not spoken for, so I'll list it for sale or something like that.
Okay.
But usually everything is sort of built to order, and they'll contact me through my website or through Instagram or Facebook or something like that,
Hmm.
and we'll start up a phone or email conversation about it, and I'll get an idea of where they fish and what they like to do, and what kind of rods they already have, what they're looking to do with a new rod, things like that, and we'll work through the process. And just kind of, I like to get to know the person most of the time if I can,
Yeah.
Hmm.
Very
and
smart.
build a relationship and know, kind of just, you know, it's funny because everybody that I build a rod for turns out to be a friend.
Mhm.
It's pretty cool.
Yeah. Yeah, it's super cool to be able to have that kind of, and also getting to know people so you know like what kind of rod you should build, and then when that person fishes with it, they know just how tailored and special it is, which is really cool.
Yeah, yeah, and like I've got my own building style that it's not as fancy as others and things like that. But people say, "Okay, I like your style. Just build me what you want to build me."
Yeah.
And I'm like, "Well, okay, I'll do that too."
That's awesome. So maybe now we get into fiberglass just as a world, because I know
Yeah,
it's like one of those things everybody kind of knows about. Some people fish fiberglass, some people have never touched a glass rod in their life. What's sort of the fiberglass 101? How is it different from other rods? Why is it special?
Well, I guess rods began with bamboo traditionally,
Mhm.
uh, and but a lot of people don't pay attention to bamboo anymore because it's expensive and they're afraid it'll break and things like that.
It's quite niche.
And which is all worthy considerations and things like that. But um, bamboo has a great feel, but most people can't afford $1,200 to $4,000 for a rod,
Mhm.
um, and that's a that's a deterrent.
Yep.
So I love the feel of bamboo. Fiberglass sort of started as a replacement for that
Okay.
back in the 40s and 50s, I think.
Mhm.
And but then they decided, whoever they are, the just designers, and they found out about this new material, graphite, and they gave uh, fiberglass a couple decades to work itself out, and it didn't really. It was heavy
Yeah.
and slow, and graphite was light and fast,
Yeah.
so it was cool. And it was a great advancement. So fiberglass was kind of glossed over,
Yeah.
in a lot of ways, but there are a few guys who still continue to make it. Scott, I believe, Scott Fly Rods did, and a small guy named Mark Steffen continued to make fiberglass. And and behind the scenes, there are a lot of advancements that uh, fiberglass rod material is used in a lot of different things,
Yeah.
and usually aeronautical stuff or military grade and
Yeah.
antennas, things like that. Arrows, I guess, too.
Yeah.
Um, but they had a tendency just to not be so loud when they talked.
Mhm.
The light, fast crowd won over.
Mhm.
And I guess in the I remember when I was choosing a fly rod, I had the choice of a fiberglass Eagle Claw, I think,
Mm.
and the guy was like, "You don't want this. This thing is slow, heavy, and it just moves. It doesn't stop moving."
Yeah.
And and so I was like, "Okay, I'll go for whatever's popular."
Yeah.
And and then I don't know really what changed, but people started realizing that, I guess, like me in bass fishing in tournaments, I didn't like the the fast-paced,
Yeah.
go 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 mentality. And I mean, when you think about it, fly fishing is not usually not a competition.
Mhm.
And so I think that's when people started considering fiberglass as being a viable option again.
Yeah.
And these days, it's I think gotten popular with the Swift company, Epic, Reddington, just about all the major rod makers have a glass option now,
Yeah.
which I think is fantastic.
Yeah.
And it makes it accessible to everybody. That you don't have to buy a boutique rod or anything like that.
Mhm.
So I think people are kind of having a change of mind as a culture, and realizing that it's not fast isn't always best. It sometimes in saltwater, heavy wind, huge flies, musky fishing, and things like that, glass isn't best, and that's fine. But in I think most situations, glass is just more fun.
Right.
Yeah.
And when it comes down to it, fly fishing really is about an escape or a distraction or fun.
Mhm.
And so that's sort of how I've seen the progression.
It's all about slowing
Could be
down,
too
right?
long.
Slowing down and fishing like at your pace,
Yeah.
and yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
I think
Yeah,
it's a fair point to be like, I mean, if you look at, I mean, I've worked in a fly shop, so has Mitch. Like, sometimes you get people coming in that don't fish and they have like old rods.
Mhm.
Maybe and like to see, and it's a lot of the times I find it is fiberglass. They'll like hand you this like tree of a rod, and you're like,
Yeah.
like fiberglass used to be this big heavy thing, where that's not
Yeah.
the case anymore. Like modern blanks are, that they just aren't that big clunky piece of glass. It's a
Yeah,
really,
exactly.
it's a really
There's
finessed blank.
Yeah, there's some blanks that are the butt section is 5/8 of an inch around at the end, and that's
Mhm.
huge.
Yeah.
And that's a 5-weight.
Yeah.
In some
Yeah.
glass rods, in graphite, a 5-weight is about 3/8 of an inch around in the butt. And so it's big and fat and clunky and not very sexy, I guess.
Mhm.
But a lot of the modern materials these days, you can do the same thing with the tapers that you can do with graphite,
Yeah.
Mhm.
and have a lightweight rod, and have like a sub 3-ounce rod, sub 2-ounce rod, in fiberglass, that you have all the feel in the world. It doesn't, you're not overpowering it when you catch a 4-inch brook trout, and different things like that.
Yeah.
It's just part of the change in the materials has really helped.
Yeah.
It's definitely what I use my fiberglass for. Is we've got a little stream with brook trout, and take my 7'3" weight for dry flies. It's awesome.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's so much fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's slow, like just the way it feels, really, it's just different from graphite, and it kind of just makes it a little more fun. I like that it's a little different too. Everybody's got graphite rods, and it's fun to have something different.
It's fun. Yeah, they have fun colors too.
Yeah.
It's not just gray.
Yeah.
Or black or whatever. It's like they have the Kabuto out of Japan has I think he started making popular the white blanks, the natural material.
Oh,
and, my brother-in-law was fishing a Kabuto blank that I'd built him in the Austin area, and somebody stopped and said, "Hey, what rod is it?" They were like driving down a road, saw it sticking out of his truck bed, and they stopped and just talked to him because they saw a white rod. And it's a conversation piece too, which is fun.
Yeah.
Kind of brings the community together some.
Yeah, totally.
I gravitate towards different colors.
Yeah.
Aesthetically. Yeah. And then I ask about it, and it's usually like, oh, it's a kid's rod, or oh, it's for the ladies. I'm like, well,
kid's rod.
It's for me.
Kid, yes.
Yeah, exactly.
You've got a few different models. What's your favorite out of your lineup?
Yeah.
Oh, that's tricky.
you've got rods that go from like a 2 weight all the way to a 9 weight.
Yeah, yeah.
Which is pretty cool.
Man, it changes just about every day. I
Right.
go between. I didn't think I was going to like the 2 weights all that much because I thought there would be more of a toy.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But the little 6-foot 2/8 that I came up with last year has turned into probably my main rod that I used lately. The one that I call the Blue Ridge Special is probably the one that I grab most because I fish all along the Blue Ridge Parkway in these little bitty trickle streams and things like that. And sometimes you run into some big fish. It's a little 6-foot 8-inch 3-weight, and I would say at this point that one is probably my favorite rod. It's a 4-piece rod. You can stick it in the backpack, and
Great name.
it's probably the one that I build the most too. It's fun. You can fish nymphs, you can fish dries, you can fish a double rig, things like that.
The reels that you have on the site, you manufacture them yourself, so you build them yourself as well?
I don't. You broke up a little bit there, but I don't make the reels themselves. A friend in Japan makes them.
Oh, nice.
Right.
He's a machinist. He's the one who's got my foot in the door with that blank manufacturer in Japan.
That's awesome.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Question about the handles when they're, I don't know the proper term, like is it vented?
Yeah, ventilated.
So what's the advantage to a ventilated cork as opposed to non?
That's a good question. A lot of people think it's air ventilation, and I guess that's part of it, but not really the intention. The main intention, I've got one right here, is
Nice.
got tape around it, but the main intention is that you can feel the blank flexing more into the grip.
Oh.
Okay.
And so you can see
Oh, yeah.
in this rod, you can see the blank itself flexing through the grip.
Yeah.
And when you cast, you can feel that. And when you feel that, you have a better sense of timing. Like when you're making the right motions and slinging the fly around and things like that, you can feel the rod, at least a rod that bends all the way down. You can feel that flexing there, and it gives you a good sense of timing and gives you sometimes it's too much sensory input, but it's a lot of sensory input into your hand.
Yeah.
And it kind of makes the rod feel a little bit more part of your arm.
Yeah.
And it's funny, the other day, I'm holding up 2 different rods right now, 2 different butt sections of the same rod, actually.
Yeah.
And I built, and this is a demonstration. This one is a solid grip.
Yeah.
That's more typical. This one is a ventilated grip, and it's part of the same rod. They go. I built it as a demonstration to show people that it feels different. And sometimes people like the sensory input.
Yeah.
Sometimes people just feel like it's too much.
To work with. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's cool though. We've seen those, and we were always wondering if it was like an aesthetic thing or if it was that makes a ton of sense, especially when you hold it up and start bending it. You can really see the blank going right down into the grip.
Yeah, and see with the solid piece, you can see it a little bit, but you don't feel it as much.
Yeah, that makes sense.
But with the gaps in between the cork, it's it changes things quite a bit.
Yeah.
So I get that question a lot, and I need to write something about it on my blog, but I haven't yet.
Yeah. No, I've seen like I said, we've seen those rods, and it's just like that's kind of cool looking.
Yeah, it's a little bit funky.
Yeah.
I think one last question about your rods, the saltwater model. Have you got a chance to try it out in the salt?
Yeah. I don't fish saltwater all that often. I've fished a few times for redfish with it. A buddy of mine that lives pretty close, he fishes. He has a chance. He's a photographer. He goes all over the world. He just got back from Belize a few weeks ago and things like that. And he fishes that rod everywhere. And I fished it a few times down out of Charleston for redfish, and I connected, but I didn't land anything.
Yeah.
Hmm.
And I'm bad. I get distracted by what I have here and don't go venture out very far.
Nothing wrong with that.
So I grew up uh, fishing for redfish and speckled trout and things like that in the Gulf out of Houston.
Yep.
But that was a long time ago, and not fly fishing. So I need to go back and refresh my memory a little bit.
Yeah. Bring some of your rods, man. I bet that'd be pretty
Yeah.
fun on reds.
Yeah.
That'd be cool.
Yeah,
That'd be so
I have a bass model, a 7 foot 7-inch 7 weight that
Yeah.
I used that one last time I fished for reds, and it was fun.
Oh man.
It was good.
Yeah.
It
but-
seemed like it would be too short, but it worked out really well.
yeah. Eh?
Yeah.
Good leverage and everything too. Get those hook
Yeah.
sets nice and right. Yeah.
Yeah, right.
That's cool, man. I love just a bass rod. And I think one day I might have to pick one of your bass rods up just to have just a bass fishing rod. I think that's such a cool thing.
Man, it's so much fun.
Yeah.
I love it. And I need to send you guys some demos just to play with, see what you like.
That'd be super fun. Oh my God.
Be great.
Might as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We got our
So
bass
are we-
season coming up in June, and
Oh, yep.
yeah, we're June. The season in Ontario opens they're the third Saturday in June, and we always go. We do this bass
Okay.
fishing trip. So man, it'd be fun.
Yeah.
To bring some
Yeah, I'll
glass
do
on
that.
that.
Yeah, I'll do that, man. That'd be fun.
Oh,
So,
wicked.
Love to hear
how
your thoughts about it.
How is shipping internationally during this time? Like, are you allowed, or is it like? How
Yeah.
does it work? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I've over the past several weeks, I've sent rods to Australia, England,
Wow.
Scotland, Japan,
Jeez.
all over the place,
That's awesome, man.
and they're getting there.
Yeah.
I think it's taking a little bit longer,
Yeah.
a few days
Yeah.
longer, but I usually ship express for international just because it's easier to track.
Yep.
And it's only like $10 or $15 more, and it's worth it.
Nice.
Nice.
Well, it's cool to see your
So-
rods have like an international stage. It's great.
Yeah, it's crazy. I got some pictures from a guy in Scotland yesterday. He was using my 7 foot 9-inch 5-piece 5-weight little
Oh.
traveling rod that I have, and he sent me pictures of this a couple of 26-inch brown trout that he caught on him.
That's cool, man.
And
my
So huge.
I just flipped out. It was awesome.
Yeah.
Like I usually see little pictures, like 12-inch fish,
Yeah.
16-inch fish,
No.
but this fish was longer than
like-
this rod has 20-inch rod sections.
Yeah.
And had it next to the rod, and the fish was like a rod section and a half long. It was pretty awesome.
That's awesome. In Scotland too.
An
That's
over
rewarding.
2-foot trout.
Yeah.
That'd be awesome.
Yeah.
So cool. Well, it's awesome to see, from not really sure if you should build a rod to begin with to rods across the globe and people sending you pictures. That's pretty rewarding.
Man, it's incredible.
Yeah.
Like I said, I don't have anything to complain about.
Yeah.
I get to fish. I get to meet some cool people.
Yep.
And I get to do something with my hands that I love.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Awesome.
Man. Okay, so every show we do 5 questions. We ask the same 5 questions to every guest, and
Yes.
they're always the same questions. No, you don't have to. You can take your time answering them, but we're gonna ask them now. They're called Mitchie's Fishies 5.
Yeah. Aaron warned me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right
He
on.
actually emailed me the list.
Nice.
for
Oh,
me to think
Aaron.
about, but I forgot to think about it.
Okay,
So,
perfect.
Oh, good. Perfect.
Yeah.
On the spot. Okay, here we go. So
All right.
the first one of Mitchie's Fishies 5 is, what is your favorite fish and why?
Okay. That's tough.
Favorite fish.
Favorite fish.
I'm seeing some
Most people-
pictures on your walls of some nice bluegills and
Yeah. it would have to be a red breast sunfish.
oh, cool. Right on.
That's a first
I-
for
That's
sure.
a first.
That is the first. Yeah.
I love them. I think the first one I caught, I was about 9 or 10 in the Austin, Texas area,
Yeah.
and it wasn't on a fly, but when I lived in Missouri, we didn't have them. We had long ear sunfish, which are totally beautiful,
Yeah.
but red breast they get huge.
Yeah.
And my buddy Brandon Bales, a fly tyer in Alabama, sent me a picture of one he caught on the 2-weight.
Yeah.
On one of my 2-weights a few days ago. That just I'd like to get that picture blown up and just
Yeah.
like tattoo it on my chest or something. I don't know.
That'd be sick. That'd be awesome.
Bluegill.
Big sunfish tattoo.
Just right here.
That's awesome. Just right
Yeah,
Good answer.
maybe
man.
I'll do that.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll start like a GoFundMe for a bluegill chest tattoo.
I'll donate. Easy.
love
Okay, sweet, thanks.
Wait, just a second before. Is that the hoodie you're wearing? Is that your brand?
Oh, yeah. This is a friend of mine in
Cool.
Texas that drew up a little fly for me.
Oh, nice.
Nice.
Just nice and simple. Doesn't say any words or anything.
Yeah.
Nice.
I love it.
So
Yeah.
I also have a logo that says "Slow Down."
Yeah, we saw that. I
Oh,
love
yeah, we
that.
saw that. It looks so good.
I'm buying
So
that.
I
I'll
love
send
it.
you some of those stickers, man.
Oh, thanks,
Yeah.
man. That'd be amazing. That
Perfect.
sticker's
Yeah,
so cool.
that sticker's so cool.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
love
Yeah,
it.
Type mark.
I'll get them to you. Let me know your address later on.
Okay, wicked.
Yeah.
Sweet.
Totally.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sunfish, great. I love that red-breasted sunfish. That's an amazing answer. Sunfish are super underrated. You know, like everybody fishes for them in Ontario. It's like everybody's first fish, I think. But
Yeah.
they are really cool looking. You know, and they're everywhere.
Yeah, it's probably the first and last fish people ever catch.
Yeah.
Like the first fish of their life and the last fish of their life.
Yeah.
That's-
Yeah, it's true.
Wow, that's a good point.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Okay, number 2. If
All
you
right.
could fish anywhere in the world right now, assuming it's like the best time to go, where would you go and why would you go there?
I would go fish at a friend of mine's lake in East Texas.
Okay.
He has it's a lake that he has a house on, and this guy's a man that I grew up. I grew up without a dad. My dad passed away when I was real young,
Oh man.
and he kind of stepped in and was a father figure to me.
Yeah.
And he would take me fishing on fishing trips and things like that when I was real young. And now he has a house on this sweet little, probably 60-acre lake
Oh, cool.
that,
Wow.
like if you don't catch an 8-pound bass that day, you did something wrong.
Oh my God.
And bluegill,
Okay.
you can
Never
catch.
caught it.
Yeah, it's incredible.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
And the bluegill there, like 12, 13, 14 inches.
Oh, man.
I hooked one. Nobody believes me, but I hooked one that was about 18 inches there one time.
Oh my God, that's huge.
And it was on a fly. It was on a 3-weight.
Yeah.
And that fish haunts me.
Yeah.
I would drop everything right now and drive halfway across the country and fish there for an afternoon, then drive back if I could.
Yeah.
But I'd rather stay longer. and hang
Yeah.
out, so.
Right.
Yeah.
Of course.
That sounds beautiful.
Wow.
Yeah, there's so much water to explore in Texas. I mean, geez, like we've been hearing all about it, and it sounds like a
Yeah.
heck of a place.
Yeah. I mean, Texans are obnoxious. We can say that. And but there's a reason also. They've got some good stuff there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh man, yeah. Okay, number 3 is what is your best or favorite fishing memory?
Ooh. Man, these are good questions.
Thanks, man. Yeah. They try to go at, fishing memories. I mean, we all have so many of them. It's tough to pick one, but I think everybody's got at least one or two that kind of stick out,
Yeah.
Hops to mind first.
Yeah.
Yeah. The I had about 3 come to mind, but I'll only say one.
Okay.
And it's actually the most recent one. My buddy Dave and I went fishing on Monday, and all this quarantine stuff and things like that. We were both stir crazy, needed to get out. We always drive together to get to this place, but we were good this time. We drove separately because 6 feet apart and all that
Yeah.
stuff. Fished a little brook trout stream that's about 45 minutes from me, and we got to this section that we call the Pools of Wonder, and
That's
that
awesome.
sounds stupid, but it really is just these stair-step pools,
Oh man.
and each one has a fish that is a good fish. Good for brook trout is about 10 inches there.
Yeah.
And we both caught one out of succeeding pools, and just they were so beautiful.
Yeah.
These fish are not what I would call your typical really bright reds and things like that. They're a little bit more subdued colors.
Yeah.
But I actually built a rod to mimic the colors of those fish, and I got to look at the fish side by side with the rod that I built for it, and think, that's good.
Yeah.
That this is I could sign in now and be happy.
Yeah.
So that was just a few days ago. So
That's
changes
awesome.
all the time.
Yeah, but that's an awesome memory. I mean, like, geez, especially during these times, yeah, to get out and then not only, be able to go fishing with a buddy, but also, catch the fish and the inspiration between that and the rod and everything you're doing. I think that's super cool.
Yeah. It's fun how it gets tied together.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, number 4 is, why do you fly fish? Why do you fly fish at all? What's in it for you?
Man. I think I have to.
Yeah.
I can't not fly fish. I tried for a while and
Yeah.
it didn't work out very well. That was a dark time in my life.
Yeah.
And so now that I'm fly fishing it again, haven't really stopped. Things have gone better. So I guess it's a vague answer, but I fly fish because I have to.
Yeah.
I need to.
No, I think it's a great answer. I think some people will have there's kind of two answers we hear to this question. One is like, oh, they just explain the experience. It's meditative, it's relaxing, it's nice. And then other people are just like, I don't know, there's just this compulsion within me to catch fish. Some people describe it that way, and it's like, nobody knows why.
Yeah, it's really both of those, but it's more the second one where it's just has to happen. Life isn't life without fly fishing.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, it's totally true. I love it.
Yeah.
It's nice to think about that question, I think, sometimes, because like I said, I think I'm in the compulsion sense too. Like, it's something I just see a fish and I want to catch it. I don't know why. It doesn't make any sense.
Hey, look, water.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Sometimes I'm like, why the heck do we do this? But okay.
Yeah.
Okay, number 5 is all of our favorites, and it is, what fly pattern represents you best and why? If you were a fly, what would you be?
All right. That's the one that I actually remembered to think about.
That's awesome.
And I loved Aaron's answer because I didn't expect it.
The carpet bomb, yeah.
Yeah, that's a good fly.
Yeah, it looks like an awesome fly, man.
Yeah. I used to tie a variation of that for bluegill, but it was more of a soft hackle with bead chain eyes, and things like that. But so it wasn't really a variation; it was just kind of reminding me of it.
Yeah. If you were a fly, what would you be?
If I were a fly, the fly that I used most last year was a royal wolf. About a size 14 or 16, and I love that fly. But I want to say that that's my fly, but it's not.
Yeah.
It's too put together and too like organized and stuff.
That's a great fly, yeah.
It is a good fly.
Yeah.
I'm gonna grab.
Yeah, he's reaching over to some flies he's got in
You look pretty organized from where my vantage.
Oh no, that's all fake.
It's staged.
It's staged.
We're looking at compartments and different containers for his rod building setup. Yeah.
Got the rods on the racks.
Yeah. It's an awesome
All right.
setup.
Well, I thought I had my fly box here. Oh. Anyway, it's a.
Oh, here we go.
It is. This is my fly box that I normally grab.
Nice.
It's got like 2 sinking flies.
Yeah.
And the rest are floating.
dries.
of various kinds. When I fish for bass, I love and bluegill. I love sinking flies. When I fish for trout, I love floating flies.
Yeah.
But the fly that I use a lot and feel like it's see if you can.
Oh yeah.
See that. It's.
So what is that? What is that fly called?
My friend Dave Faison ties it.
Yeah.
And it's it changes names every time I fish with it.
Yeah.
It's like a Chernobyl ant.
Yeah.
But it's I guess I call it a Faison ant.
Okay.
but it looks like a stonefly in the water. A lot of
Mm.
the time, it looks like a beetle, it looks like an ant, it looks like just about anything, and it's made of foam
Yeah.
and some sort of siding material,
Yep.
and it is incredibly good. I've caught everything on it.
Oh, it looks like it would just be great.
Except for a redfish. I haven't caught a redfish on it, but I haven't tried yet.
Oh yeah,
Maybe I'll have to do that.
definitely.
So I'd call it a fason ant, Fason. And
Fason ant.
my buddy Dave, who takes most of my pictures, he, ow, God.
Watch yourself.
So sharp hooks are important.
Yeah. Absolutely.
But I also tie him in he ties him in a red.
Yeah.
I call that one Big Red. That's probably the fly of the season so far.
Oh, nice. That's cool, man.
Nice.
That's cool looking.
Oh,
But
that's cool.
it
Yeah,
doesn't
looks like
sink. It's good in fast water.
Yeah.
It's good in slow water. Everything eats it. It's awesome.
That's awesome. So the Fason ant. If you could take a picture of that later for us, just on your phone and send it to us, that'd be awesome.
Yeah,
it looks like a cool fly, and I love that answer.
Yeah, it is.
It's great.
Yeah. So that's the one answer that I had sort of pre-thought about,
Yeah.
and I still couldn't really decide on. So, but that's the one that always comes to the surface. It's simple.
Yeah.
It's a little bit messy.
Yep.
And it works. I think that's a little bit reflective of who I am as an adult. Maybe.
I love it.
I don't know.
I love it. I love it. I think it's a great answer.
Yeah, it's great.
But yeah.
It's awesome.
So whereabouts can people find your stuff if they want to try to find some info about your rods? What would you leave people with?
Probably go to my website, cbarclayflyrods.com. That's the home base for everything. I'm pretty active on Facebook and Instagram. I don't know what to do with the other social media things.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, no.
Instagram's all you need.
Yeah.
That's all you need. Yeah.
Yeah. It makes the world go round.
It's perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll put
Yeah,
a link
that's-
to your site in the show notes as well, so people can find
Yeah.
your site easily.
Cool. Thank you.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so, do you got any cool fishing plans coming up, or do you have what's the next couple months look like for you?
Well, I was supposed to go to Texas next month.
Yeah.
But that was canceled.
Yeah.
Right. Yep.
And I still, it depends. I'm playing it all by ear. I was also supposed to go up to New York to the Catskills
Oh, nice.
to fish with
nice.
some of my Japanese friends.
Yeah.
They asked me to pick them up from the airport, but they needed to cancel that. So
Yeah.
that's out the door.
Yeah.
Honestly, I'm looking forward to just spending more time in Virginia and North Carolina.
Yep.
And just seeing how the seasons change and
Yeah.
the streams change, the stream levels, the fish, the bugs, everything
Yeah.
changes week to week here.
Yeah.
This time of year. So I'm really kind of excited to be homebound.
I kind of hear you there, man. I think that's an interesting thing that you hit on, because like normally, like you say, we're all like looking for that next trip, and the summer's coming up, and we're looking to get away and do things. But now everybody's kind of forced to slow down and learn about and appreciate their home waters, which is like I think a really important fly fishing thing. So it's cool that that's going to happen.
Yeah.
I think everybody's going to kind of do that, you know?
Yeah, that's been a big part of my whole fly fishing thing. I guess I didn't mention this at first, but I was really kind of hesitant to get into fly fishing because it was all about going on trips.
Yeah.
That just sounded expensive to me, and I've never really been one to have a whole lot of money, so it just didn't make sense. But then I started finding these places to fish close, and I just loved it.
Oh yeah.
I think it helps you to know your community better,
Yeah.
your immediate surroundings when you go and catch fish out of a ditch or out of a little pond in a park or something like that.
Oh yeah. Some of the best anglers out there have spent their lives on, a couple of rivers, and they know them like the back of their hand, and they're super cool. And so yeah, I think it's going to be
happy too.
Yeah, absolutely. So it'll be an interesting year for everybody, I think. So it's cool to hear.
I think so.
Yeah.
I think so.
Well, Chris, thanks so much for coming on the show, man. Honestly, it was
Yeah, guys, thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it.
It was a ton of fun, and your
was
rods are
awesome.
beautiful, and it was just
you.
awesome to hear about your story.
Thank you. And come to North Carolina or Virginia if you want.
Oh, yeah.
After
Hell yeah.
it's legal too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Exactly.
we can go fish or something.
That'd be
Yeah,
awesome, man.
definitely.
It'd be super
Yeah.
fun to connect.
Definitely.
Yeah.
I'd never been to either the Carolinas or Virginia, so
Yeah.
it'd be awesome
Yeah.
to go explore for sure.
It's nice.
Yeah.
There's good beer here too, so that's good.
Oh, that's perfect.
Oh, that's great.
I love it. Well, Chris,
And
thanks so
barbecue,
much.
Right?
Yeah, there's barbecue in North Carolina. Yeah. Oh, man. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, it's good stuff too.
Perfect.
Chris,
Yeah.
thanks so much for coming on the show, man, and have a good rest of your Saturday and try to enjoy your weekend.
All right, guys. Thank you so much. You too.
Take care.
See you.
Bye bye.
See you.
Bye.
Bye.
That was Chris. Chris, thank you so much for coming on the show. That was an awesome episode, and your rods are sweet.
Yeah, those rods are sweet. I would highly recommend anybody to go check them out.
Yes. And can you guys imagine if we get some of those rods to test down for bass opener? How amazing that would be?
Oh, it'll be so sweet.
It'd be
It'll
so
make
fun.
It'll make an already fun weekend even more fun.
Yeah, we're all out there with Barclay rods, and oh my God, using glass to catch bass on bass opener would be so sick.
That would be
Using
so
glass
sick.
to catch bass. I like
Glass
that.
bass.
Glass
glass.
bass.
Yeah, no, it's cool. North Carolina, Virginia. I've never been there either, but the fly fishing sounds pretty awesome. I've seen
Pops.
pictures and it sounds pretty cool. Yeah, there's my pops behind me. He's walking back and forth. He's just messing around. But that'd be cool to go down there and fish too. Brook trout fishing, man, that looks
For sure.
that sounds
And
awesome.
like, yeah, I mean, and Virginia, whatever, and Blue Ridge Mountains.
yeah,
Be awesome.
yeah, it's super cool.
Can I ask you a question? What's going on with the banjo back there? And a little setup, and I love that little
yeah.
one-seater there.
I have a banjo. Yeah,
That's cool.
Yeah,
That like leather one-seater there. That's pretty sweet.
Yeah, I've got a banjo, so
yeah, it's a banjo. Yeah, I have a banjo.
Okay.
It's actually my dad's banjo. He bought it a couple weeks ago because I told him you should buy a banjo, and then
He did.
and then he did, and like we came home because of all this COVID stuff. So we're kind of like teaming up to take on the apocalypse and pending doom. So yeah, he bought a banjo. I've just been playing his banjo.
nice.
Yeah.
Did you bring a new bass?
No,
to
I didn't. I
place?
left it there. But I got the banjo and I got a guitar here, and I got my drums here too.
Oh, that's sick. I
'Cause-
dropped
Oh, that's
off. I did some grocery shopping for Yilma,
Yeah.
and when I dropped the food off, I also dropped him a guitar off. So we've got to get
Oh man.
Yilma learning guitar.
I'm excited.
Yeah, we'll have a
Awesome.
little jam session, and Yilma can play guitar while we do another blindfolded YouTube tying video.
Oh my god, that'll be
Yeah. Oh, that'd be great. Yeah, just teach me some chords.
Yeah, just like that.
Yeah, that's what it looks like. That's what
He's-
playing guitar looks like.
Looks like he's playing bass right
looks
now.
like,
I don't
looks
know.
like playing bass.
Yeah, if that. Yeah, for anyone that hasn't seen them, go to our YouTube channel, SoFly YouTube channel, and you can find it from our Facebook page or our SoFly.ca. Just click the YouTube thing because we're doing a couple more things. We just did a blindfolded fly tying video a couple weeks ago, and then we did one recently with a guest, Matt Dodson, who was on the show last week. So check it out because we did some blindfolded tying with him, and it was fun. So if you're
Yeah, we'll
looking for something to watch,
Huh.
why?
We'll keep doing those and get a good fly box stocked for bass openers. See actually if any of these work.
Yeah, I think that'd be super fun. I
think they will,
I
to
think
be
they
honest.
will. Yeah, I think they will. I mean, those largemouth are just whatever,
It's just like, will they stay intact?
Yeah.
Is the bigger question.
That's a good point. Yeah, will they stay?
First cast will just be
just feathers everywhere. It's
yeah.
like, oh man. Yeah,
Oh,
we'll do a
man.
couple more of those too, and who knows? But maybe by the time this is out, there's a couple more up there. I don't know, but yeah, geez, Louise, guys, I miss you guys.
Yeah, I miss you guys
Yeah.
too.
Gonna be on the water soon,
Hopefully.
hopefully.
I mean, it is April 11th right now.
Yeah.
I'm not sure when I think this podcast will come out in 2 weeks. So I think this podcast is going to come out on trout opening weekend.
Oh man, there you go.
And just think, we might not even be out there.
Yeah, I know. We probably won't be too because it's like
Probably
not that
won't
far
be.
away. But you know what? I texted Joe and said, "Hey Joe, do you want to do a trout opener show? Just to talk about trout opener because we usually spend it on the river and we see Joe and we fish and whatever. So maybe the weekend, maybe after the show. So we'll do this show trout opener weekend or something, and then the one after that we'll do one with Joe where we can just talk about trout fishing and catch up.
Yeah.
Kind of fun.
Kind of sad to think that we might not be there for trout opener.
I know.
You know, usually I get all amped on that day because Aldo just bangs browns.
I know.
It's been my bread and butter these past 3 years.
And it starts to get warm out and nice out, and we're finally back on the water. Oh my god! Well, we'll see. Maybe we'll be able to. I wonder what I don't know. We'll have to see. Maybe there's some kind of. I mean, I'm not even near there, so if I want to find a trout, I gotta I don't know, go in the middle of Calabogie. Definitely no one out there.
What about that stream that you sent a picture of? Sorry, Aldo, go ahead.
No, go.
Oh, there's no trout in there. That's
Dude, there's some amazing trout lakes in Calabogie.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I just gotta find them because I never really trout fished up there. When I was living in Ottawa, I would just always go upstate, because upstate was awesome. I loved fishing up there.
Well, when I went early that weekend, we went up to your cottage, and I went up in the morning.
Yeah,
I did catch those small little brookies in that lake you sent me to.
Oh yeah, no way.
Oh yeah,
I caught 2 6-7 inch brookies, but it was also middle of June.
Yeah.
So I'm sure right now when the water's nice and cold, it'd probably be way easier to find them.
Well, I'm around there, so maybe that's what I'll do. I mean, they're open all year in that region too, or there might be some. I gotta check the guidelines because I don't know. I'm not totally familiar with trout there, but yeah, I'll check that out because we'll find ourselves in the water soon enough. I was even thinking just when Chris was talking about sunfish and panfish, I was like, geez, you know what? I could just rip down to the Rito. There's not going to be anyone around. Just catch perch on a 3-weight.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean? I've got a 3-weight. I actually built a 3-weight rod years ago with a TFO blank, and it's terrible construction. I'll just go use that thing. I'll show you guys later a picture of it. I bought it. I bought the kit or whatever, and I built it, and I was like, it's not great, but it's kind of cool.
That's cool. I do maybe one day. I don't have the desire right now, but maybe one day get into building my own rod.
Yeah, totally. I mean, it's just another extension to it all, right? And I think it'd be awesome.
It's so cool.
Yeah.
After going to the gathering last summer and
seeing all those bamboo guys,
and now talking to Chris, it's seems pretty rewarding.
Yeah. Oh, 100%.
In my mind, I have the picture of the rod that I would build, and I look at Chris's rods, and they're so beautiful. But then I know if I built one, it'll just look like a toad.
A toad. Well, you got to start somewhere, I guess, right? Maybe it won't. Maybe I think if you just take your time and get some guidance from people that are good, then geez.
Yeah, I think I want my blank to look like this SoFly hoodie.
Oh, red,
just
the maroon.
A burgundy.
Yeah,
that'd be a cool blank.
That'd be a cool blank. That'd be really cool.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
Well, I should have asked Chris, why are fiberglass rods so funky colored? Is it what did every marketing team have the same idea? Maybe make them crazy. I don't know.
Yeah, that's a good question.
Echo's rods are bright blue, the badass glass.
Yeah.
Reddingtons are fall funky colors.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah, that's a good question. I wonder. Maybe it's just because maybe it's because they can, so they're just it's because they have to dye the cloth or something. I'm not sure. It's a good question. I don't know. If anybody knows,
I like the greens, yellows.
If anybody knows, just send us an email, thesoflycrew@gmail.com, and we'll also just ask Chris to double check because that's
I like how Chris's rods look like they're from I don't know.
Yeah.
A time capsule in a way. In
terms
of
that yellowy kind of. Yeah.
It just screams I don't know, dry flies and.
Yeah, it does. Yeah, they're
Small
beautiful.
Creeks.
Check them out. Everybody check out the rods. They're great. And follow him on social and check out his work. And well, thanks everybody for listening. I mean, I'm going to go make a bagel or something.
I'm going to do some work.
Yeah, Saturday and we're working, Yelmo. What about that, eh? Jeez Louise.
Lemon squeeze.
Oh, well. Thanks everybody for listening. And that's it for me, Mitch, Aldo.
Bye, everybody.
Yelma.
See ya.
Take care.
You can find all of SoFly's content at SoFly.ca. On Instagram, we're at the SoFly Crew. You can reach us at thesoflycrew@gmail.com with any questions, comments, or concerns. On Facebook, we're SoFly, and our podcast is available on SoundCloud, iTunes, and Spotify.